Good morning. My name's Paul Church from Clarity Craft here in the UK.
And my name is Louise Goldin. Hello everyone, how are you?
And welcome to another episode of Groovi Tuesday.
Welcome.
Yeah, I know, it's flying by
the
now,
weeks go
isn't
so
it?
quickly, don't they?
It really does. So I hope everybody's well. I can see we have some friends in YouTube already.
Wonderful.
So there's several different ways, isn't there, Louise, of how people can tune in.
There is.
Whether they can watch us live or watch afterwards.
Yeah.
There we go. The lovely Jane Telford is in the room. Good morning, Jane.
Morning.
Jane's in the room to help you. So if you have any questions, she's there to help. And if there's anything that she thinks that we should maybe ask out loud, then she will be my voice in my ear. Well, not, she's on my phone. And Jane will let me know what's going on. So yeah, it's a lovely sunny morning this morning.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. I was outside looking after the guinea pigs and the bunny this morning.
Oh, right.
Yeah, lovely and sunny, and they're all enjoying the sunshine already. Looking out.
Yeah, a little bit fresh. Sound is all good from Jane. Thank you, Jane. So yeah, it's always that way. We go live, and obviously we can hear one another because we're obviously sitting next to one another, and we just hope that our friends at home can hear us as well.
We just hope the outside world can hear us.
Yes, absolutely. So we see we've got our friends in Australia. Wow. There we go. I know. Isn't it amazing the internet nowadays? I was watching something the other morning, and I think it was 1985.
Wow.
And it was an edition of Blue Peter.
Oh, yes.
And they were talking about computers and how schools want some of the first places to have the internet. Yeah. And they were talking to these young children and said, oh yes, well, we can bring up a picture of the world and stuff like that.
I know, you think nowadays you'd be like, yeah, we can use Google Maps on our phone.
Excuse me, yeah. And it was sort of like you had to dial up on the internet, or you'd start your computer up and then you'd have to wait 10 minutes for it to all load up and get ready.
Yeah, I always remember it was this exciting thing to have a computer room in the school, and I remember that the first computer I used had like the green writing on.
Oh yes.
And you have to really press the keys.
Yeah.
And you had like those little CD-ROMs that you put in the side for games and things.
Yeah. So, and it's definitely changed. And nowadays, with our friends worldwide, they can tune in from all over.
From anywhere.
Yeah.
And you can watch things live or play back and all sorts now.
Absolutely. So I hope everybody's well. I can see, yeah, we've got lots of friends. Glorious in Berkshire Downs, says Jill.
Nice.
Good, lovely. I think it's, they're saying about Thursday, I think it's going to be about 18 degrees.
They did say, yeah, it's going to be warmer. That'd be lovely, wouldn't it?
So, yeah. And no doubt it'll then be followed by rain and snow. It doesn't last long, does it?
No, it never does.
So we'll just give it a few minutes just for some friends just to find the room. And if you're tuning in, have we got anyone tuning in for the first time? Maybe if you are, then say hello. Let us know where you found us. We're a friendly bunch.
We're a very friendly bunch. Yeah,
we are
everybody
indeed.
In the chat's really friendly, and if anybody has any questions, they're always answering as well. In case the question doesn't always come through to us, but there's some of the design team in the room as well.
Yeah, I just saw Josie pop up, and no doubt Glynis is probably in the room as well. So yeah, so what is Groovi Tuesday all about? So every week we get together live at 10 o'clock and we work through a particular project. And for the past couple of weeks, we've been working with a brand new collection from the lovely Tina Cox.
We have, yes.
Called the All-in-One collection. This is the floral swirls and corners. We launched this I know exactly when it was. It was the 14th of February, Valentine's Day. We launched the collection, and the idea came from an original collection of plates from Tina Cox.
Yes.
That had lovely sort of floral swirls and corners on, didn't they? And then you could pick and choose all the various different elements. And then Tina created these beautiful pieces of artwork, and Barb looked at them and said, you know what, wouldn't these be great as an all-in-one plate? And so that's where it all started. And many of you have purchased these plates. So Louise has been guiding us through one particular design each week. So should we have a little recap on what we've been looking at, Louise?
Yeah, so if I just go over to
Yeah,
2, there we go. So we have the thank you plate. This was one of my favourites. I mean, it's so beautiful, isn't it? The black and white always looks so elegant.
it does.
So we have managed to do the main design, the line art and everything. We did the white work in the last 2 lessons.
Yeah.
So everybody who's following along should be at that stage where they've just finished the white work, so we can get cracking with the little dotty background this week and the main grid design in the middle.
So if we zoom in on that a little bit so we can see. There we go.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it? And Tina has used in the middle, she's used a fine grid.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping people from doing the fine grid if they want to, but I am going to use a bold one. It's easier to see, and if anybody's following along, then it's easier to do a bold grid than a
And you've got a little
grid.
bit of a comparison between the 2 sizes of the grids, haven't you, on that piece of parchment just in front of you?
Yes, so we have the bold is at the top.
Okay, so let me zoom in really close on this one. There we go.
There we are.
So this was the pattern that Tina created in the middle, wasn't it?
Yes. So Tina has created it diagonally, so it's actually that way on her design.
Right.
But for easiness in the square, we've just done it this way. We can always
and last week it was very clever the way that how you created that pattern from what Tina did, and there was a real sort of process, wasn't there? It was like a T and then an L and everything else. So if you want to see how this particular pattern was created, you can go back and watch last week's episode to find that out.
Yeah, that's the brilliant thing about Groovi Tuesday and all of the shows, is that you can just watch back, and there's nothing stopping you from pausing it, going back if you missed part of it, and you can just keep on replaying it just so that you get the grid sequence right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're going to be putting that into the middle today. So we'll go over again how I completed
that.
Yeah, so that'll also be another one.
So those little dots at the end in those 2 little end panels,
yes,
I think that really does show off the difference in the size from using the fine grid and the bold grid. Yeah,
so bigger dots, more spaced out. This one's obviously the fine, and this one's the bold.
And so you've used them to obviously emboss because it's easier for our friends at home to see, but it would be the same with the perforating, wouldn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So you'd use the fine needle for this one and the bold needle for that one.
Perfect. Now I'm just going to bring in I just want to show off these grids, because where we have that fantastic offer on at the moment, where let's just come back to this screen here, Japan 10. Yes. We're celebrating all things Japan, and this is quite oriental in feel as well.
It is, yeah.
I think the elegance of the black and the white.
Black and the white, yeah. It's only missing a little bit of red, isn't it?
It is.
But no, the black and white does look very Japanese.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Yeah.
So if you wanted to take advantage of the offer that we're running throughout the whole of March, celebrating all things Japan, when you get to checkout, if you put the code Japan10 in the discount box when you get to the checkout, and Louise has used it once or twice, you'll get 10% off your order. Now, if you're already a club member, you'll get your club discount first, then you'll get the additional 10% off as well. So we've got the 2, and these aren't cheap, but this, I thought I'd mention it because it's definitely worth taking advantage. If you're thinking, you know what, I'm not necessarily ready to go fine, but when the prices are like this and you've got that special extra saving on it, it's definitely, just if you want to just go for 1 or you want to go for 2.
I use these at home, and I find I always tend to use these at home because of the fact that you can place your parchment on, stick it down with Groovi tabs, and you don't have to move it.
To move it, of course.
So with smaller ones you do, but smaller ones are
Okay,
easier
so
for a lot of
let's have
people.
it. So if we come in on that then, so you've got the duo, both plates, these are the fine grids. The item number is whoops, that will come into focus, 40628. If you just want the straight, then the item number is, I'm going to zoom out, I don't know why it's not focusing. Let me bring that over, put my hand there, might help. There we go.
Yeah.
So if you just want the straight grid in the superfine, it's 40626. And if you want the diagonal, then it's 40627. I reckon the cameras are struggling to find with all this on there. So it's definitely worth thinking about if you wanted to take advantage of that offer.
Yeah, definitely. And now's the time with the 10%, extra 10% off.
Especially if you're a club member, definitely. Okay, so where are we going to start off this morning, Louise?
So I thought what we'll do first is I will show everyone how I got 3 different designs. So
Okay.
Here we go. So let me go in.
Number 3, there we go. Come in number 3.
Come in number 3. Our time is up.
There we go.
There we are. So I've done 3 different designs to just give everybody just options of what they could do with just this basic grid design here.
Yeah.
So with this one, this is the one that Tina used.
Okay. Can we see that in Tina's piece of artwork?
Yes. So Tina has used them like that. So
there we go. Yes.
There we are. So that's how she has done. I'll show you how to cut that one out.
Okay.
Then this one here is just a different way of cutting it out. It looks a bit more like a star than a cross.
Yeah.
And then this one, I have only just cut out the cross in the middle.
Oh, I see.
And just freehand embossed around the cross. So yeah, so just 3 different ways of cutting out. So you can do whichever one you'd like on the grid design. I'm going to show you how to do all 3, but I will probably just do the one that Tina's used. Okay.
And I think this is a lovely idea to have a practice, isn't it? To create
definitely.
Like a sampler of what it is and then try out the different cuts.
Yeah, I would do this with any new grid design that you are tackling. I would always practice on a little square.
Yeah.
You could have them. You could actually. Here's a good idea. You know, your everybody has been buying these lovely the folders to put all your PTCs in.
Oh yes.
So these are a good size. If you cut out a rectangle or square, you could put these a little bit of black card behind.
Oh, I know. Yeah, so the mini makes folders, which as soon as the supplier gets them back into stock, we will have them.
We're nabbing them.
I heard that the supplier knows to email me as soon as the ship lands, so to speak, and then we will get those back in stock. But yeah, I think these are great for a little.
And for our PTCs, but also what I would do is I just cut these out and put them in the folder with all of
That's a good idea.
So you have them all in one place. From maybe Linda's book.
Yes. The guide
every
to grid work.
Practice that you do, you could just cut these out, put these in your little folder.
That's a really good idea. And you could put some little notes on it, couldn't you? Because there's enough space
to then put some notes behind.
Perfect. So if you, I suppose what you could do, if you cut your piece of parchment to 2.5 by 3.5 inches,
yes,
then put a box somewhere on there, maybe at the bottom, so you've got some room to put some little notes on.
Yeah.
Ah, that'd be a great idea. And you're building up like an encyclopedia, aren't you?
Yeah, and then you always have them to hand to just, if you decide, oh, I want to use that one, then all you've got to do is just take it out and just use it as a reference for your grid work in the middle.
Perfect. There we go. Top tip from Louise. There we go.
So let's go with this one. So I have already done 2 to show everyone.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll show you this one in the middle first, because there's only a little bit of picot cutting.
Okay.
And there's a cross. So I thought we'll start with a cross because that's a bit easier.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the A4 mat over.
Okay, so you're on the soft side now.
Yeah, and I'm going to turn, what I do before any perforating and grid work, I will always use my tumble dry sheet on the front and on the back.
Yeah.
So that when you're perforating, it makes it easier, it glides through easier, but when you turn it over and start embossing, it's already lubricated with parchment.
In between the perforations, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, so I'm going to show you on here. So is that the, there we go. Let's see. So in the outside parts of the design, I've just embossed, freehand embossed.
I'm wondering whether I can come in a little bit closer. If we just keep that, this will be a manual adjustment. So let me just, there we go. Might need a little bit of adjustment. Just bear with while it finds its focus.
There you go.
There we go. I'm going to preset that one. There we go.
Okay, so if I show you from the front, see what we've done. Oh, there we go. Ooh. So we've just freehand embossed on the outside.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do the cross in the middle.
Oh, I see. Yes, where you've got those 4 perforations.
Yes, so let me just show you. I'm going to use my perga cutters.
Okay.
My weapon of choice.
Yeah.
So let me show you. I'm just going to come in.
And we're on the front of our parchment still?
We are. We're on the front now.
Okay.
So I'm just putting the perga cutters in just a little bit. I'm twisting and snip.
Okay.
I like the sound of that.
I know, it's very satisfying, isn't it?
It is.
And so you're cutting over the area that's actually going to fall away.
Yes, always cut over the waist.
Yeah.
How do I know that? There we go. So I've cut a little cross.
Wow.
There.
And I suppose, I mean, I remember when I first started to learn with my picot cutting, learning to do these little crosses was the way that helped me perfect mine.
Yeah, perfecting the art of picot cutting.
Yeah.
So I will just then show you how Tina creates this one.
Okay.
Then you all have choices of which one you do. But that one, if you're not too sure about cutting this one out, then that one's just a nice, pretty, simpler
And I suppose
version.
you could still do the little cross in the middle without doing the dots, I suppose.
You could, yeah. So, I mean, that's not really going to harm my picot cutting. So if I just snipped out, always turning the parchment, it makes it so much easier. There we go. So that's the little cross.
Yeah, I quite like that as well.
Yeah,
I think what it does,
different.
it makes the perforations around the outside stand out a little bit more.
It does, doesn't it? So there's so many different options.
Yeah.
To create a really nice grid design in the middle. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from just stopping at the embossed and the perforation look.
Yeah, because that's rather lovely as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it still looks really lovely. You know, you get to choose what stop you want to, you know, climb off the bus, you know.
Climb off the bus.
You want to climb off the bus at this stage, then, you know, it still looks lovely. So let me show you underneath I'm going to show you this one.
Okay, so this is the one that Tina has used within that design.
Yes. So I would start, I like to just go every one way. So I would do that part, and do that part.
Okay.
Then I would turn and do exactly the same. So I would do that part.
Oh, I see. So it's like the top 3 rows, so to speak, like the top one there and then the shoulder either side.
Exactly, the head and the shoulders.
Yes.
There we go. And that's just going to finish it off there. There we are. So then that comes away. There we are. and you're left with that.
Right, I see.
But always cutting the head and the shoulders.
Yeah, I think that, yeah.
That's
So
a
you've
good
got the
way of
two at the
thinking.
top and then two either side, haven't you? And
Yeah.
once you know that you've done that, then you can turn your work and repeat that process.
Yeah. So then with this star,
Yeah.
it's a different way of cutting.
Okay.
So you're using the two holes that are further apart.
Oh, I see. Because it's on a diagonal pitch.
Yes.
Yeah.
So with this, you would just twist and snip like normal.
Okay.
And then again.
So you're doing the diagonal corners first.
Yeah, I'm using the diagonal ones first.
There we go.
And then all you have to do then is just the...
Oh, so now you're doing like the head.
The head, yeah.
Yes.
Doesn't sound very good when you're saying chopping off the...
No.
We're back in Tudor times. There we go. So then when you take that away, you've got a nice little star.
Yeah, that isn't it amazing? Just depending on where you do the snipping, the different looks that you can get.
See, that's the good thing about everything to do with parchment and Groovi. There's so many different ways from doing just, for example, you know, in Linda's A Guide to Grid workbook, there's so many different grid patterns from just doing 4 dots.
Yes.
You know, miss 4 dots, then 4 dots, miss 4 dots. And there's so many different ways that you can achieve a beautiful grid design just from doing that.
Nice.
So those are the different options you've got.
Yeah.
So there's 4 different options really we've got. We've got the one that you suggested with the cross in the middle.
Yeah.
We've got the one with the freehand embossing around the cross.
Yeah.
You've got the star. And then you've got the one that Tina's actually done on her grid design.
Nice.
So everybody has choices of what they do. If nobody wants to do the picot cutting yet, then this is very beautiful as well.
It is, yeah. I like the combination of the embossed and the perforating.
Yeah, it does look really nice. Just like that, really. Okay, so now I've showed you different options.
Yeah.
I thought we would tackle the middle.
Now we're going to put it into practice.
Yes.
So we've had a bit of a warm up.
Yes.
And so now we're going to put it in the center of that card.
Yes. So let's... So usually if I just... I'm just going to show everybody.
Okay, so we'll zoom out on this one.
Lovely.
There we go.
Okay, so here we go. So we've got the... I'm going to bring in my plate mate.
Yeah.
Let's just move these out of the way.
And just Reese, you're just using the A5 square grids, aren't you, Louise?
I am, yes. I'm just going to move the mat onto the hard surface.
Yeah.
I'm going to put in my straight grid.
Okay.
So this is, we're going to be, let me just think here. So that's straight.
Okay, let's come in on that, see whether it'll pick up the pattern of the plate underneath.
Lovely. So that's the top.
Yeah.
So Tina, what she's done is she's just gone like this.
She's turned it to an angle. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would still work straight.
Okay.
For us.
Yeah.
Otherwise we're going to get confused.
Okay.
But just turning it. So hard to think then.
And I think sometimes we sort of just do it automatically, don't we? And I think this is where the beauty of with Groovi Tuesday and with our upcoming 1, 2, 3 online course.
Yes.
That many of you have signed up for. The emails will be going out middle of this week. And so if you haven't had an email by Friday, then drop me an email, paul@claritystamp.com. If you've signed up and you haven't heard anything by the end of the week, then drop me an email or give the office a call and we can get that sorted. Now, sometimes when we're sending out emails, for some reason mine, probably because I send so many emails, sometimes my emails go into people's spam or junk folder. So if you haven't had anything in relation to inviting you into the classroom by the end of the week, check your junk folder. If there's still nothing there, excuse me, if there's still nothing there, then either drop me an email or give the office a call on 01732 868 215 and we'll get that sorted for you.
Lovely.
I know we're going to start recording the pre-records tomorrow, aren't we?
I know.
So we're going to do the pre-records first, so that they're good to go when we do the live show. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later today.
Wonderful. So I have my grid pattern.
Yeah.
It's always a good idea to keep your practice piece right by you, just so that you still have the reference there for you.
Okay.
So I will probably, like we did last time, I'll probably start, where am I going to start? I'll start a little bit further down.
Okay.
And then we can always go up,
Right.
just so I've got a point of reference.
Okay.
So I'm going to miss a dot. And I'm going to do 4 dots.
Okay, and this is using the Groovi number 2 tool on the back of the parchment.
Yes, so we're on the back of the parchment, Groovi number 2. If you were using a fine grid, I would probably use the 1mm.
The Pergamano one.
The Pergamano one, yes. There we go. So we've missed a dot.
I'm going to come into that really close-up one. Let's see if we can do that on there. There we go. Just give it a chance to focus. Wonderful. There we go.
Perfect. So we're going to come down into a U.
This was so clever. The way that you explained this last week, it made perfect sense.
There we go. So we've got our U.
Yeah.
That's like that. So from a U, we're going to do the capital I. So we're down. We've gone down. So you've got 4 dots down.
Yeah.
And so you've got your little capital I there.
Okay.
And we'll do that one with that one. And we'll do that one over there too.
This is so clever to watch. It really is.
So then we've got our little box.
At the end of our eye.
Yeah, at the end of our eye. So the eye is now standing on a box.
Yeah.
There we go. And then we're just going to use our little bridge. So we're going to bridge and bridge.
It's it just makes it so achievable to create this type of pattern.
Yeah, so then I would go a little bit off a little bit. So you would just follow the grid. Obviously you would miss out the bits that you can't use because the flower's in the way.
Yeah.
But you still got that one there. So if I come up and then I'll just show everybody how I would finish off the grid pattern at the top.
Yeah.
So just the other way round, just use the box. So there's a square on top of there's a box on top of the eye and a box underneath the eye.
See, now me, I would have just turned it upside down. So I can see we have a question from the lovely Lynn. So let's just have a word with it. So Lynn has a question. Lynn can make the start of each of the live sessions on the Wednesdays. Hang on, it's just disappearing. Let me just bring that back in. Because this may be some questions that some of our friends are unsure about. So she can make the start of the live sessions for our 1, 2, 3 online course.
Oh, yes.
And she's asking, can she dip in and out as and when she can with the pre-record? Yes, it's exactly the same. All it is, it's on our Inner Circle platform. So once we've done our live show, the pre-record will be available afterwards. And then it's just like if you're watching on YouTube, you can stop, you can start, you can go out, you can come back, you can come in at midnight if you want to and watch it.
Yeah.
It's there for you to go in and stop and start. So what it is, it's like you're going into that classroom, but that screen is just for you. So if somebody else has gone in and started watching it because they wanted to watch on the pre-record, it's not going to affect what you're watching. You've got that. I suppose it's just like your own TV channel, isn't it? At home, if you stopped watching something at home and your neighbour started watching it, it's
not going to affect.
Not going to affect you. So, in answer to your question, yes, you can dip in and out. You can fast forward. You can pause. You can turn the volume down. You can turn the volume up. Just imagine as if you're watching TV, really.
And the good thing is there's going to be a live and a pre-record. So
yeah. So if you can join in at the beginning of the live, and then if you have to dash out, you can still go back and watch the live afterwards as well, because that will be there.
Yeah.
If you wanted to follow the chat, or because obviously during the course of the live show, people may ask some questions, and it may be some questions that you may want an answer to. But we also have the Q&A with Louise and myself as well. So there'll be a room where you can go in. So maybe, I don't know, you've watched the part of the pre-records or the live show afterwards, and you think, oh, I don't fully understand that, I'm not sure. You go into the Q&A room with Louise and myself, post a question in there, and then we'll be there to help and answer that.
Yeah, definitely.
So I hope that answers the question. And you can go back in again and again and again. There we go. Okay.
Okay, so now let me move it up a little bit so we can see it more. So now we're going to create the eye again. So we've got our 4 dots.
Yeah.
And our
capital I.
Capital I. Ta-da. I mean, also, I would suggest always doing your embossing dots first with this kind of pattern.
Yeah.
It is very easy to make a mistake. So, for example, if I'm just going to make a mistake there, see?
Goodness me, Louise, you made a mistake.
Oh my gosh. The good thing is when I turn it over and I perforate, then that will disappear.
Of course.
Plus, it's going to get cut out anyway. So
yes.
So it doesn't matter so much if you're embossing and you make a mistake, but when you perforate and make a mistake, it's harder to hide.
Yes, absolutely.
You can't go back from a pierced hole.
Okay.
So there we go. So let me create my little box again.
There we go.
It's very therapeutic.
It's amazing sort of watching it sort of come to life. I suppose it's the same really, isn't it, when you're tracing out a design on the Groovi plate. This one just requires a little bit more concentration and patience.
Yes. Yeah, I'd say it does require a little bit of patience, and it does take a while to get to grips again. It's like, see, I made another mistake there. Easy to do. All you have to do is just finish off the grid as you're going to.
Yeah.
But these two, they're just going to disappear when you pierce.
Because they're going to be perforated.
Yeah.
Of course.
So just be aware that when you come back to doing your pierced holes, your perforating holes, that you will need to pierce those two there.
I think that's a good thing to show, isn't it? Because now all of a sudden our friends at home are thinking, goodness me, I've now made a mistake and I've got to start again.
Yeah, which you don't have to. When you emboss first, all of these other holes are going to get pierced out. So, there's no worries. You don't have to throw it away or anything. There's always a way. Or as I always say, just put a butterfly over it.
Yeah, absolutely.
As Tina used to say, just put a butterfly over it. It'll be fine. There we go. But it's easy just to slip your concentration just for a second, and you've made a mistake. It's easy to do. We all kind of...
And especially, I mean, if obviously our friends at home, they'll be doing it in the peace and quiet of their own home. Yeah. They're not having to talk and do it at the same time. I don't know, maybe some of our friends do, but...
Yeah, some people, I suppose, might watch telly in the background, or
That's the best
listen
way
to
to
the
watch
radio.
TV, in the background.
Yeah. Have the noise in the background. It's quite nice, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do parchment in silence. I think I've always had noise in the background of some description. There we go.
I'm the same. I like maybe the radio on, or not that I know. I'm not listening. It's just a noise, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Just relaxing, isn't it? Just to have that noise in the background. So again, making my capital I. I wonder if anybody's following along, or are they just watching?
Well, I did see one of our friends on Groovi Worldwide. They were having a play with this particular pattern. I'm not going to mention any names. And I think it's all about, it's that learning process, isn't it?
It is.
So,
yeah. And grid work is a learning process. There's lots to learn, and there's so many different ways of just move this up a bit. There we go.
I mean, there is, isn't there? I mean, we have the lovely plates designed by Josie Davidson, duet plates, that combine both perforating and embossing, but they're predefined patterns that you can make borders and frames from. And then, this afternoon, when we're back at 2 o'clock, there's the plate mate for A5 square grids, which is made up a series of dotted patterns.
That is very nice to show.
So we'll have a look at that this afternoon, because again, it was sort of designed by Josie and Jim. It sounds like a TV program in the office. So it's another plate mate, but we'll show that off this afternoon, because that's got some lovely patterns on there.
It has, yeah. So, let me just finish off my little bridges at the bottom. There we go. There.
Nice.
So now we've got our embossed pattern.
Okay.
With a few little mistakes hidden in.
Yeah, no, that's good to show those.
And then we can show.
And can I ask, Louise, so how do you know when to stop when you're approaching a traced out line, an embossed line?
So I would always stop just before, just in case.
Okay.
However, like if you can go into the line.
Yeah.
If you do go into the line accidentally, I can show you actually. I have the plate here. So say, let's just, there you go.
Okay, so you've accidentally gone into an embossed line by mistake.
Accidentally on purpose.
Yeah.
Just so I can show. So when you've got a lovely, intricate, busy design, I've got to find it now. Where was it? Oh, was that it?
That's it there.
That's it. Yeah. Now where's it gone? There it is. So all you have to do then is put your Groovi sticker tabs on, and then you would just emboss your line over.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's good. So you're using the plate to reinstate the original line.
Yes.
Can't even see where it was now. Just very finely. Yes.
Very little, yeah. So when you're doing your grid design, and if you go into one of these by accident, then you can always go back in with your plate and just redefine the line.
It. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's good.
It's always a good idea to do that. So now we can go in with our perforating pattern.
So while you're just getting ready for that, Louise.
Yes.
Excuse me. So information on the 123 online course. The item number for that is 60220. It's £60. There's no club discount on that. We will send you out a lovely little booklet, which also contains 6 pieces of A6 parchment, and it breaks down exactly what will be covered over the 3 different weeks. And that kicks off on Wednesday, the 2nd of April at 1 p.m. It's not on Facebook, it's not on YouTube, it's in this lovely sort of inner circle. So we pay for this platform specifically to be able to share these courses with you. Some of you may have already done the workshops with Barbara using those lovely canvas boards as well. Yeah. So I recognise some of the names that had already done the canvas, so they'll be familiar with the Inner Circle platform. So we send you out a booklet. It gives you a list of what we're going to cover over the 3 weeks. And week 1, because it is that foundation, is going to be white work. Week 2 is going to be colour. And then finally, on week 3, it will be perforating and picot cutting. But what it does, it allows us to be more specific in what we're doing. Yeah. And it's going to be using a collection of plates that we also designed to work alongside this beautifully. Yeah, and they are lovely. And the item number for that is 42470. But if you go to the product on the website, 60220, read all the information about it. And then when you scroll down to the bottom, there's a download that gives you a list of ingredients that will be used over the course of those 3 weeks. And it's not to say, right, I've used them for those 3 weeks, I'm never going to use them again. Many of you that are already in Groovi Tuesday will already have the starter kit. Many of you will already have the pergola liner pencils, the Groovi guard. Many of you will already have those essentials, won't they, Louise?
Yeah, they will. Yeah.
But if you haven't, then it gives you that opportunity to think, right, okay, maybe I need to get this, maybe I need to get that. And there's still plenty of time for us to get that out to you as well.
See, some people have, you know, some of them have the perforating tools, the needle tools, and haven't used them yet because you think, oh, what can I do with them? So over the course of all of the workshops we will do, we will end up showing all of them and how you can use them in various different ways. In the white work course, it's a bit further on in the year. We'll go over all the embossing tools, the hockey stick, the shaders, the embossing, the ball tools.
But this is sort of like that foundation, isn't it? So maybe you've had a dabble and you've tried a bit of this and tried a bit of that, so to speak, but you're not happy with what the result that you're getting. Then this foundation course is perfect opportunity to get that sort of
going back to the basics, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And once you've got that foundation knowledge, then it will help if you then wanted to sign up to one of the future online courses. So later in the year, we'll be doing a 3-week session just on white work, shadow embossing. Then there'll be one on various different colouring techniques. And there's not to say that, oh, have I got to do the foundation course first? No, I mean, if you're happy with the level at which you're at, then when we release the other courses later in the year, then you can sign up maybe just the colour one. Maybe you've nailed white work and you think, right, that's it, don't need to learn anymore. You don't have to.
No.
But maybe you're not happy with your colouring or you want to learn more about the colouring. Then these will be the perfect opportunities for those. And when you break it down, it's £20 a week for each session. And the foundation course gives you that. And it also gives you that opportunity to go back and watch it again and again and again. So each of these 1, 2, 3 online courses will be in their own independent classrooms that when you sign up, you've got the key to that classroom. You can lock it, you can walk away, you can lock it. Well, and I think that's great nowadays. Many of our friends that live abroad can't travel or there isn't anything local to them where they can enjoy the craft with other friends. It is. So that's the item number for that if you're interested in that. If you're not sure, have a read, and then if you've got any questions, you can always give the office a call, and whoever answers the phone, if they're not sure, then they'll come and ask Louise or myself, and we can come back to you on that. But the emails inviting you into the classroom once you've signed up will be going, they'll all be out by the end of this week. Okay.
See, I used to go to a lot of like watercolor workshops and things like that, but you know, when you go there, you do it the once, and then if you don't practice, you forget, don't you? So having that online classroom where you can always watch it again and again is just so much easier and better really for people, I think.
I think so, especially nowadays if people sort of sleep or they do shift work or stuff like that, or maybe think, oh, you know what, I don't fully understand that, I want to go back in and ask. The Q&A room will be in there, and let's say Louise will be in there, I'll be in there, and we'll be monitoring that. So if anyone has any questions, it's a great opportunity to take part.
Definitely.
So,
and it's a good little community. Again, like our Facebook, there will be like a live chat on there on the live version.
On the absolutely,
you know, and people will be asking questions and talking amongst themselves.
Yeah, because we'll do Q&A during the course of the live sessions as well. So yeah, there's definitely that interaction, and as Louise says, during the live session you can see everybody's questions and the chat, just like you are over on Facebook and YouTube.
Definitely. Okay, so
let's go back.
So I have now placed the straight grid underneath. So we're working from the top of the artwork now.
Yeah.
So we're on the front.
Okay.
You can just probably about see them. I mean, at home you could use a light wave, but I didn't want to use a light wave because of the reflection.
Yeah.
So once you've got it in place, all you've got to do is just create the.
Let's see if I can come in on that side camera so we can see. Okay. So what you're doing now is you're just perforating.
Yes, perforating all the holes that are left from not embossing.
Right. It's like a little sewing machine going.
I know. It's once you get into it, it's you can get carried away, can't you? So here's the mistake.
Yeah.
So now I can just go boop. Where's the mistake gone?
Okay, so when you've done that, I'm going to switch to the overhead so we can have a look at that.
Where's the mistake?
You can just about, but once you've pico cut, it's going to disappear, isn't it?
It will, yeah. It will disappear completely.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
So then it's just it's a case of perforating out all of the holes left.
And I notice you're doing this on the hard mat underneath.
I am, yes.
What reason would you be doing it on the hard mat rather than the super foam, for example?
So at first, usually when I do any kind of perforating, I'll always perforate shallow anyway.
Right.
But when I go back into it, I would then use the pico foam and the super foam.
Okay. Because it's quite, because when you think about it, you've got the thickness of the plate, haven't you?
Yes.
So because you don't really need to perforate all the way through to create the hole.
No, you wouldn't need to perforate that much more further into the parchment because, like you say, you've got the depth of the plate. That's quite enough as well for, and they're all the same size. So when you go in with your perga cutters, that's quite a large hole to still.
That's really a good tip because I suppose if you've got like the super foam underneath, some holes you can go in further, some holes you won't go in as far. So I suppose with this, it's giving you that equal perforation, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So it will never be, all the holes will always be the same size because you're stopping at the black mat.
Yeah, I think that's a good tip. This is
beep, 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 beep.
It really doesn't take long. It does require a little concentration whilst you're doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm coming up to the mistake somewhere. I don't know where it was though. We'll find it.
I suppose you get into that rhythm, don't you?
You do.
I notice that you're sort of like you're doing, you're sort of going, starting at the top and working down, starting at the top and working down.
Yes. So it just makes the flow of the tool. I find whenever I'm doing any kind of perforating, I'll always work from the top down because I can see where I'm going easier than if I was doing it any other way.
Right, okay. And then she says going left to right.
To keep everyone on their toes. Okay. So once you've done the embossing dots, it makes the perforating a little bit easier because you know all you've got left to do is the holes that you've got left, rather than you don't have to think as much with the perforating as you did with the embossing because it's all done more or less for you.
Yes.
Oh yeah, so here was the mistake. So just embossed
it's
over
four. It's, I suppose when we look at the pattern, it's 2, then it's 4, then it's 4, then it's 2, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
It's just madness to watch it sort of all coming to life.
Yeah, it doesn't take too long, does it, to once it's there?
And it gives a completely different look to that central panel.
Yes, it does. Yeah, so I've just got to do the top left.
So you always leave the outer areas where you need to concentrate a little bit more as you're approaching those traced out lines.
I do, yes. I won't pierce too close to the edge like I would maybe with embossing because it's a bit less forgiving, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think we're there.
Okay, so let's have a look on the overhead then on that one.
Oh, hold on.
There'll always be one that gets away.
Little monkeys.
See, and on the overhead, it's a lot. Louise was showing me a piece earlier on, and I didn't have my glasses in the room, and so I just put it on the overhead and zoomed in on the big screen. But we can really see. I'm going to ask Louise, should there be any in there?
There should be some embossing dots there.
So they should be embossed dots, right? Okay.
Which you can always just go back in. Okay. Ah.
See, that's lovely. Just so like that, isn't it?
Yeah. So let me get the grid out the way just for a moment. And you can pull my little stickers off.
But as you say, when you're working on a small area, so we can use the camera to come in closer. So let's come in. I think we can come in one step closer. Okay.
Ah, lovely.
Okay.
There you go.
See, so for me, possibly what I would do, I've practiced on my little square, like you showed us how to create that pattern.
Yeah.
I've got that as my guide. Then what I would do would be to trace out just this section here, all in the number 1 tool. I won't worry about all the flourishes, just so I've got that in a frame.
Yes.
And then practice in there.
Yeah,
to see what it looks like.
Yeah, definitely. I would always practice with grids because there's so many, you know, your mind can wander and a mistake can be made easier. But the more so I suppose with anything, the more you practice a certain grid sequences, the more you'll remember. So the more you use it, the more you'll remember.
And I suppose what you were saying at the beginning, by having those little squares, and maybe having a look at the patterns. I mean, the guide to grid work by Linda Williams covers both the straight and the diagonal. And we were looking at this earlier, weren't we, Louise? So
we were, yes.
Let's come in on the overhead on this one. So, and this is literally just the tip of the iceberg, what Linda has put together. So, for example, if we come in on the overhead here, and I'm going to zoom in on this one. Okay, so this one here, as Louise was talking about, and I'm going to come in one more step closer and then just move it. Hang on, there we go. Give it a chance just to.
There you go.
So this is where Louise was talking about earlier, a series of 4 dots.
Yes.
Perforate 4, miss 4, perforate 4, miss 4, and then the offset. And this has been created using the straight grid. But then if we flick the page, what Linda has done, I can't flick that page there.
I'll flick it for you.
Thank you. You flick the page for me. So now you can see it's the same pattern, but embossed.
Yes, and there's so many different things you can do with either one, really.
Yeah, and maybe, as you say, if you're not into your perforating or your picot cutting just yet, then just create, I think this would look rather lovely, quite simply just in the middle of that design as well, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. And there's so many different designs you could do. So you could make these into crosses.
Yeah.
And you can, a bit like how Linda's done with this one underneath, is she's linked just by using like a Pergamano ruler as well, and just like a little fine embossing tool, just created that link. So that looks really beautiful, doesn't it?
And then just playing around by the different strokes.
Yeah, just the outside dots as linked.
Yeah.
Just the middle, and then down.
And then that on. So it's all done by a sequence of 4, miss 4. That's what it's like knitting, it sounds like, doesn't it? Knit 4, miss 4, knit 4, miss 4. But so this guide, if you're looking to get into maybe having a go with grid work, say Josie does some fantastic
yes, they are lovely.
The duet plates. We've got the basic ones which come in available separately. And it's a great way to introduce that lovely lace work that are in the grid starter kit. So you've got like the arch, the oval, the circle, and I can't think what the other one is, but there's a series of 4. So that'd be a great introduction. And then you've then got the circular grids.
Yeah.
They're really good way to get started.
Plus you also have her, they're like little sampler plates, aren't they, with all sorts of embossed dots on.
All the embossed dots on.
They would be perfect in the middle as well, because you've just got the infill.
Those. Yeah. Yes. So if you look at the, if you go to the website and put in embossed dot plates, there's loads of them, isn't there? They're straight and diagonal, and it's a series of dotted patterns, just like this. Already done for you, but then you could take your basic grid and then perforate in between those, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, there's world's your oyster with those as well, because again, like Linda's book is, you know, they're just the dots, but the way that you can join the dots together and perforate around it, cut bits out, you can create so many different designs just from that one plate.
There you go.
Put them in your PTC folder.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe it might be worthwhile just checking out the website and just having a look around, especially with that Japan 10 offer as well.
Yeah, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, with that additional 10% off if you're already a club member as well. So would you believe it? Are you going to set any homework for our friends at home?
Yes. So if everybody who is following along wants to create that the middle part in the grid, if they feel brave enough,
okay.
Maybe next week we could just focus on the embossed dots. I don't know whether to.
So if we have a look at Tina's piece of artwork to show exactly where we've got to at this point.
Yes, so we're creating this part. So we've created the perforating and the dots on this part. So next week we will picot cut out.
Okay.
And then we'll create this lovely little
dotted effect in there.
Dotted effect, yes.
Yeah, perfect.
And then we can speak about different ways of how to create this. You know, it just depends on your bus journey, you know, where you are at the present moment. You know, if you're going to be doing the foundation course, you know, in the next month or so, and you're not too sure about your picot cutting yet, you know, you can either save this for when you finish so you can do all the picot cutting, but there are other ways of creating this lovely piece of art, you know, by colouring in places, and it doesn't have to have the picot cutting involved to make it look beautiful. That's the good thing about this thing, you know, you can colour in places and put the dots, and you know, you don't have to create the grid design in the middle that we've used. You can do any of those ones in Linda's book would look beautiful. So it just depends where you are in the bus journey, but that is where we are at the moment.
Super.
So if anybody feels brave enough to tackle the middle part, for homework.
And don't forget to share on Groovi Worldwide, Clarity Worldwide,
Pergamano
Worldwide as well. And if you're stuck on there, Louise is always on Facebook.
I am,
so if you're not sure and you needed a little bit of extra help, she's there to answer any questions as well, as long as the lovely design team. So we are back together this afternoon at 2 o'clock, and we shall be looking at Barbara's Shack floral panels in Groovi, and Louise will be demonstrating again this afternoon, and we're going to make a little coaster, aren't we?
We are. We're going to make a nice little coaster, and the good thing about those Shack panels is that they're so funky and fresh as well, aren't they? You can create so many different ways of, you know, by just using different colours and things. There's so many lovely design team samples.
And you've been using the basic grids, I think, as well, aren't you?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. I think the basic grids, and we'll introduce you to that plate mate from Josie Davidson as well.
Yes, that's what we'll be using in the little border. They're really useful as well. Another Josie special.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you for your company. Thank you as always to lovely Jane for helping out, and the design team in the room. So enjoy the rest of your morning and afternoon. Hopefully you can join us again at 2 o'clock. But don't forget, if you can't tune in live, you can always go back and watch afterwards via our Clarity Stamp YouTube page. And then, so where are we now? We're Tuesday. And then on Thursday evening, it's back in the shack at 7 o'clock with Barb, with the letter U and umbrellas, Japanese.
Oh, they're lovely now.
Yeah. And then it'll be back to Clarity Social TV on Friday at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock with some brand new designs. They're really lovely. So enjoy the rest of your day and your week, and we'll see you later on today.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you, Louise.
Bye, everyone.